Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician. And if you have insomnia, this channel is for you. Nice seeing you back. If it's your first time on the channel, I hope you find something helpful to you here. Today's video is a follow-up to episode 44 where we met Mark and talked about some difficulties that he had. Today's video is a follow-up where we talk more about some difficulties that Mark is still facing. So again, in episode 44, we met Mark, who had some difficulty sleeping. He was sleeping very little. He was also taking sleep aids that he did not want to continue taking. And I shared some general advice with him that I thought may be helpful to him and anybody else watching the channel. Now, I reached out to Mark again about a week ago and just asked him how he was doing, and he responded to me about 23 hours ago. Let me share with you what he responded. So again, about 23 hours ago, Mark wrote to me that it's now 7 days without medication. Honestly, it's hard. First day I slept 4 hours, second day 3 hours, third same number of hours. Question is, am I sleeping or not? I feel like I'm dreaming, but I'm easily irritated with noise. Then I wake up. I just want to ask about light sleep. Can I survive on that kind of sleep? I'm wondering if I'm going to the REM stage or not. And I responded to him that I was sorry to hear that he was still having a hard time. Asked him about his sleep times, and he said, honestly, my sleep is not deep. I always sleep, but when I hear sound or noise, I get easily irritated. Again, he's asking about am I going into REM sleep or not? And then he also shared with us that he goes to bed around midnight. He sleeps until 1 or 3 or maybe 2 or 5. So it sounds like he's getting around 3-4 hours or so. Now, Mark, if you're hearing this, anybody else hearing this, what I want to share with you now is general advice, and I hope it is helpful to you, Mark, and to anybody else. Firstly, Mark, sounds like you're going through a really a tough time here, and please do consult with your primary care doctor or another healthcare provider that may be able to see you and get more of a sense of what's going on and help you in a more detailed way. Now, again, some general advice that I hope is helpful to you, Mark, and everybody else. 4 things, in fact, that I thought of as I was watching or as I was reading your comments that I wanted to bring up. And I have them written down here, so if I glance at this way, you know why. So firstly, when you are taking a sleep aid for insomnia, what happens is that with time, your body kind of gets used to it, and oftentimes you see something called tolerance, which is that when you start taking medication, it's helpful. Then after a while, weeks or a month or so, you have to take a higher dose to get the same effect. You kind of become intolerant to it. Your body's kind of getting used to having this medication on board for it to be able to fall asleep. Now, when you stop taking the medication, you often get what's called rebound insomnia, because whatever substance has been used to help with sleep is no longer on board. You have an even harder time sleeping than you may have had from the beginning. I often see patients who have stopped taking medication and describe that they didn't sleep at all for many days. So when somebody describes what you're describing, Mark, this is something you have to think of, something called rebound insomnia, and that could last for weeks, really. Now, another thing I thought about when I read this was answering the question regarding REM sleep. There's a lot of confusion about REM sleep. Oftentimes, REM sleep is thought to be like the deepest sleep, but it is not. REM sleep is in fact the most superficial sleep. Stage 3 sleep is a very deep sleep, and that happens usually during the early part of the night. REM sleep is when the brain is very active and we're dreaming, and that happens in the last part of the night. Now, we all dream, but recall how much we remember the dreams varies depending on what sleep stage we're in, and the content of their dreams as well. Now, when somebody describes that they kind of are in and out of dream sleep, like just have a lot of dreams, that may not mean that you're in dream sleep, but rather that you have very fragmented sleep. For example, if somebody's sleeping soundly throughout the night, they may be dreaming a lot, but they don't remember anything. But if somebody's like constantly woken up, then they often remember much more. So oftentimes, like having multiple dreams is a sign that sleep is very fragmented, that it's poor quality, that it's not deep. So that's a second thing to keep in mind here. And then thirdly, the question that you have, Mark, is: am I asleep at all? Is this sleep? I hear that. That's another question I often get in clinic. People describing that they are not sure if they're asleep or not. They feel like they're kind of constantly aware of their surroundings. They hear things. They hear every little sound that wakes them up, etc. I will say that, generally speaking, when somebody is not sure if they're sleeping or not, they often have a little bit of paradoxical insomnia, which we talked about before. That is, they underestimate how much they are sleeping, and that kind of very fragmented, poor quality sleep, in fact, is sleep, and it does add up to often more than what you think. Now, finally, a question that comes up here is: can I survive on this type of sleep? What impact does this have on my health? And there's a lot of confusion about this out there as well. You often hear that if you don't sleep enough, you're going to get Alzheimer's or heart disease or cancer, all kinds of things. But there's no evidence to support that. In fact, insomnia has a huge impact on your quality of life. It feels terrible, but there is actually no evidence that sleeping, having insomnia, sleeping shorter or poor quality, has any long-term side effects. There are a lot of studies that show that if you provoke somebody to have insomnia for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that, you can see that their blood sugar levels are not well controlled, etc. But long-term, nobody knows. So the reason I bring this up is that I feel like a lot of people have insomnia because they are worried about the health consequences of insomnia. So it becomes a problem in itself, and that's not necessary. There's no evidence to show that insomnia has all these negative health consequences. So I hope that is a little bit reassuring. Now, if you want to know, am I getting sleep? Am I getting enough sleep? The best way to tell is by asking yourself how you're doing during the day. If you are having a hard time staying awake during the day, you find yourself nodding off frequently, that is a sign that you're not getting enough sleep. If, on the other hand, you feel alert during the day, maybe even have kind of racing thoughts and you're a little bit stressed, then if you're not falling asleep during the day, that is a signal that you are getting, if not enough sleep, then close to enough sleep during the night, and then you may have this thing called paradoxical insomnia, where you sleep more than you think you do. I stumbled across this post on Reddit, this discussion forum, this online huge discussion forum, that I thought could be helpful for you, Mark. I posted it here. Please read it. And let me know how you're doing over the next days or weeks here. I am rooting for you. I hope that as you're maybe restricting your time in bed, get more solid sleep, and that you'll be sleeping better. And by the way, you asked me about exercise. I think that's excellent. A lot of my patients tell me that like exercise, like really quite intense exercise, really is helpful for sleep. Hope this was helpful overall, and keep in touch, and hope to see you back here very soon. If anybody has a question, then please post a comment or email me at insomniainsight@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye now.